Hold on to your seat because Ford just shook the U.S. auto industry to its core. The iconic American automaker has dropped a bombshell, prices are plunging, and the industry isn't ready for the shockwave. We're talking about a price war that could rewrite the rules of car buying across the nation. Ford has slashed prices on some of its most popular electric and gas-powered models. And this isn't just a small discount. It's a strategic move aimed directly at competitors like Tesla, GM, Toyota, and even international players trying to tighten their grip on American roads. The Mustang Mach-E, one of Ford's most talked-about EVs, just saw its price cut by thousands of dollars. That's not a marketing gimmick. It's a direct hit on market share. Ford isn't just trying to sell cars. They're trying to dominate the EV space while it's still being carved out. And it's not just the Mach-E. Discounts are sweeping across the F-150 Lightning, the Escape, and even some of their hybrid models. Ford is basically saying, if you want American-made and future-ready, you don't need to break the bank. This isn't just a sale, it's a strategic power play. Now here's the twist. These price cuts are happening while production costs are rising. Steel, batteries, supply chains, all under pressure. So why is Ford doing this? Simple. Scale and survival. Ford sees what's coming. The EV race is tightening. Chinese EV makers like BYD are knocking on the door with ultra-cheap alternatives, and Tesla's constant undercutting has put every legacy automaker on high alert. Ford's response? Match the price war, gain loyalty, fast, and flood the market with accessible models before rivals can react. And guess what? Wall Street is watching. Investors are now split. Some say Ford is playing a dangerous game with margins. Others say it's a genius long play that could bury slower-moving rivals. But while the suits argue over spreadsheets, it's the American consumer who stands to win big. Suddenly, EVs and hybrids that were once considered out of reach are entering a price range that could finally put them in mainstream garages. This shift isn't just about competition. It's about timing. With federal EV tax credits still in play and gas prices bouncing unpredictably, Ford's move could be the tipping point that forces millions to finally make the switch. And automakers? They're scrambling. GM just announced it's re-evaluating its pricing strategy. Hyundai and Kia are trying to figure out if their margins can take a hit. Toyota, once confident in its slow and steady hybrid path, is now facing mounting pressure to accelerate full electrification at a lower price point. Ford just fired the starting pistol in a race that no one wanted to run this soon. This isn't just about cars. It's about market survival, tech leadership, and the future of American manufacturing. And here's the wildest part. Dealerships across the country are already feeling the heat. Inventory that's been sitting for weeks is suddenly moving. Showrooms are being told to brace for more foot traffic. Meanwhile, used car values, already on a decline, are about to take another punch to the gut. Because when new cars get cheaper, used ones can't justify inflated prices. The ripple effect is massive. Lease prices will fall. Financing terms will shift. And customers who just bought 6 months ago at higher rates? They're going to have questions. Now let's zoom out for a second. This is more than just a pricing story. Ford's decision signals something deeper. A transformation in how the U.S. auto industry defines value. And that transformation is all about perception and positioning. Ford isn't just selling vehicles, they're selling a narrative. That American innovation can be fast, flexible, and affordable. It's a direct challenge to the old-school mindset that quality EVs have to come at a premium. By undercutting prices while still pushing high-tech features, over-the-air updates, and sleek design, Ford is telling consumers, you don't need to choose between performance and price anymore. This sends a strong message to Silicon Valley. 2. Tesla, long considered untouchable in the EV space, now has a real fight on its hands. Elon Musk might still dominate headlines, but Ford is starting to dominate shopping carts. And for all of Tesla's early mover advantage, it hasn't had to deal with legacy dealership networks, complex union relationships, and legacy manufacturing plants converting to EV lines. Ford has dealt with all of that, and still managed to launch a price drop that stings. That's no small feat. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Ford's internal strategy is shifting. They're doubling down on battery production, scaling up in states like Tennessee and Kentucky, and moving faster on domestic supply chain resilience. Their blue oval battery plants are getting federal attention and federal funding. This isn't just Ford adjusting to the market. It's Ford attempting to shape the market, to bend the future toward its own roadmap before competitors even find their lane. And the response from the public? Early signs show a surge in interest. Google search trends for Ford EVs are spiking. Online configurators are crashing under the weight of demand. Forums and Reddit threads are blowing up with people asking, "Is now the time to finally make the jump?" And with interest rates still unpredictable, locking in a new vehicle with a lower price tag might be the smartest financial move consumers can make right now. But it's not all smooth sailing. There's skepticism too. Analysts are warning that Ford's gamble could backfire if volume doesn't scale fast enough. Supply chain hiccups, chip shortages, or production delays could leave dealerships without inventory to meet the new demand. If that happens, the price cuts won't lead to dominance. They'll lead to frustration. And let's not forget, consumers are more informed than ever. They want tech, reliability, charging infrastructure, and a brand they can trust. So Ford can't just drop prices. They have to deliver consistently, coast to coast. And there's another layer to this: Washington. Lawmakers are watching these moves closely. With billions in EV subsidies, infrastructure rollouts, and clean energy goals on the line, Ford's aggressive push could either make them a poster child for America's EV future, or a cautionary tale if things go south. Either way, Ford is now front and center in the national conversation about energy, economy, and transportation. But while Ford's actions dominate the headlines, behind the curtain, whispers are growing louder from other automakers. Rumors of accelerated timelines, emergency boardroom meetings, and contingency pricing plans are swirling, and those whispers are starting to turn into full-blown panic in some executive suites. Automakers that were banking on a slow transition to EVs are now being forced to pivot hard and fast. Companies that once scoffed at Ford's aggressive EV timeline are now dusting off shelved plans, accelerating production schedules, and calling in suppliers with urgent new contracts. What was once a 5-year roadmap is being crunched into 18 months, and that's causing serious stress throughout the supply chain. Suppliers, already stretched thin, are now being asked to ramp up output without the typical lead time. Battery manufacturers, chip makers, even interior component suppliers, they're all scrambling to keep up. And the pressure isn't just domestic. This pricing shockwave is being felt globally. European brands like Volkswagen and BMW are watching Ford's moves closely, wondering if they'll need to offer similar discounts to maintain relevance in the US market. Even Japanese powerhouses like Honda and Nissan are quietly reworking their EV rollout strategies, anticipating a market that suddenly expects more for less. Meanwhile, consumers are growing more confident. That sticker shock barrier that kept so many buyers hesitant about EVs? Ford just bulldozed right through it. Buyers who were once only browsing are now putting down deposits. Leasing companies are reworking their math, realizing the resale value of EVs might shift dramatically as price competition heats up. And let's be honest, this couldn't have come at a more critical moment. Inflation-weary Americans are looking for relief anywhere they can find it, and a few $1,000s shaved off a vehicle's price might be the difference between holding back or diving in. But there's another side effect playing out too. Brand loyalty is being shaken. People who've been with Toyota for decades are now test driving a Mach-E. Chevy fans are checking F-150 Lightning reviews. The psychological effect of a major legacy automaker making EVs feel attainable is massive. It's not just about the price, it's about who's offering real value when it counts. And Ford, right now, is positioning itself as the answer. Still, this isn't a guaranteed victory lap. With prices dropping, profit margins thin out, and Ford's balancing act becomes incredibly delicate. Can they cut deep enough to dominate, but not so deep they bleed? Every quarterly report going forward is going to be under a microscope. Investors want proof this strategy isn't just noise. They want numbers, sales, margins, delivery rates, cost per unit efficiency. And while Ford has made bold plays before, the stakes have never been this high. At the same time, infrastructure still remains a massive piece of the puzzle. Charging networks, service availability, parts logistics. It all has to scale with demand. If Ford's bet succeeds and EV adoption spikes faster than planned, the country's charging grid will be stress-tested like never before. The question isn't just whether Ford can meet demand, it's whether the ecosystem around Ford is ready to handle the shock. And in the midst of all this, Ford's competitors are trying to respond without looking desperate.